talking to some of the larger boats here, but we're going to have a quick chat with Bob Williams and Chris Warren. Yes, correct. Bob, this is probably the slower end of the race, but this is a boat that's done many miles. Tell us a little bit about the boat first.
Well, the boat's actually done 6 Sydney Hobarts in its early years. That's launched in 1960, so she's the oldest boat in the fleet. She's always completed the Hobarts, not ever got a first, and we're certainly not expecting one this year, but we want to maintain the run of always getting there, so that's the main goal. In terms of other things we've done, I mean, I've owned the boat for 25 years, and quick summary, I've done 2.5 circumnavigations. The first one was close to 10 years, and the last one I did last year was non-stop, single-handed, and that took 6.5 months, so that was a bit different. Yeah, it was really good.
So if you're able to do it single-handed, then Chris, what are you doing?
Well, I'm here because there's no solo division.
Good work. So, I mean, it's an old boat, but is it easy to handle for two?
Yeah, I mean, it's set up for single-handed. I mean, these older boats actually are very easy to sail. I mean, a bit heavier, but that's actually, in some ways, makes them easier because, you know, they look after themselves a lot more. And the smaller cockpit, everything's sort of in easy reach. Yeah.
So hopefully you're there for New Year's Eve fireworks.
That's our, that'd be the icing on the cake. That's what we were aiming for. But we're not trying to get our expectations up too much.
Right. And Chris, how many Hobarts have you done?
This will be my 10th, but the first one double-handed. So yeah, very excited.
All right. Well, I know you're off. Thanks very much indeed, guys. Go well. We look forward to seeing you on the way down.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. So we'll keep going. Thanks, guys. So let's just. Sorry, oops, there's always the inevitable traffic. Stuff going off the boat, stuff going on the boat.
Get lighter and lighter.
Get lighter and lighter, as he said, quite right. Don't want to take anything you don't have to take. Interesting, actually, on that point of lightness, for those of you that may not have seen, we've done 2 interviews with Mark Bradford on things called Campaign Essentials. And they're just introductory videos, these ones to start with. But we've been talking to him about a whole series of sort of issues about a good campaign. And one piece in that, and the second one, I think, is about weight reduction on board. And we'll probably do a little bit more specific about that. I think one of his major takeaways was that the ISAF weight of a sailor these days is considered 80 kilos. And when most of these guys have worked out what that means when they take all their gear with them, their life jackets, the food, provisioning the water, it's 126 kilos a person. So you can see why people want to go fewer and fewer people. And of course, for the faster boats, you want water because the water never gets off the rail and never complains about the weather. So water ballast is a big thing for those guys. But for most people, it's about getting weight on the rail as they go. All right, so we're going down onto the B arm now to see if we can see a few of the folk here. Disco Trooper here. Doesn't seem to be anybody on the boat at the moment. And Clockwork on our left, getting a bit of attention. Just see if we can have a chat with the Kiwis. Oh, look at this, perfectly timed. Good morning. Good day, Crosby Laura from Bow Caddy Media. We've been meaning to say we'd come and see you. So this is the first time I've met you two, so which one's which? Hey, Mark's down in.
I'm the really short one.
Hence why you're down there. I hope you're not dealing with rudder gear there, are you?
No, we're just getting the rainwater out.
Oh, okay.
It's raining here all the time.
All right, so just very briefly, guys, sorry we've taken so long to come and see you. This is Daler 30. I had the good fortune to do a review for one of the magazines of this. This is a cracking little boat, isn't it?
Yeah, we love it. We had it for, nearly 3 years now, Mark? 2.5 years. Done nearly 5,000 miles, mainly two-handed sailing on it, and we really couldn't be happy with the boat.
And it just loves a bit of breeze after the beam, yeah?
Yeah, we've had some good numbers out of it. It can happily do 16, 18 knots. I think we've topped out at 23 so far. I'm not sure we're going to get opportunities like that in this race. But
no, unfortunately, it's probably not set up for you. So what will your tactic be with this kind of rather crazy weather going on?
Well, obviously, number one, get out of their heads in one piece, turn right. Look, everyone's going to the same weather, so we're just going to have to play the shifts as we get them. And
It also goes upwind pretty damn quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, because the chines and the beam, it's got a lot of form stability.
And it really sits on that chine too. I remember it's sort of sitting up high and just holding really nice and cleanly.
Lifts off the chine.
Yeah.
And then with the twin rudders and the water ballast,
Yeah.
it's quite a weapon to windward as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think we're not afraid of going upwind.
No,
Not at all.
that's good. And then just on sort of practicalities, food, freeze-dried, are you getting any fresh?
We've got a couple of fresh meals frozen down, ready to go, so we'll whip those out when the conditions suit. And yeah, freeze dried mainly for the rest of the trip.
We're connoisseurs. Anything you want to know about freeze dry?
Yeah.
We have tried it all.
Well, it sounds like it's come a long way since the early days.
Yeah, it definitely has.
Some has.
We had 1,300 miles across the Tasman to test out what we like and what we don't like. So we're, I think we've got the recipe sorted now.
And last piece, just pacing, which is always difficult on a race like this. So what do you typically do? Do you actually have a watch system, so to speak, or how do you work that?
I don't think there's ever anything too set in stone. It's really as the conditions allow, get rest when we can.
Yeah.
Rest and eat when you can, really, because you don't know when you're going to eat your next hot meal or good night's sleep. So, if the conditions are good, 2 to 3 hours sort of off would be really nice, but I know that that's going to be few and far between, especially in the first half of the race where it's going to be super shifty. I'm sure Mark will keep me busy on the bow, changing sails. So, it's going to be tough to really have to focus on trying to get rest when we can.
All right, well done, guys, for getting the boat here. Lovely to have some Kiwis in the race, and particularly great to see, are you the smallest? You're nearly the smallest, aren't you? One of the youngest. Yeah, one of the two smallest, yeah. The girls, yes. Slightly different performance between you and Currawong.
Last century 30-footer and 21st century 30-footer.
All right, well, go well, and we look forward to seeing you down there. All well. Bye now.
Thanks.
Cool. So that's good. Let's see who else. We've got anybody else here. We've got Pacman. There's Peter on board. So this is, we've got an interview which we did with Peter. This is a young 11, 1980s vintage. You wouldn't think it looking at it, but it's been pretty seriously amended since. Not the 1980s style stern. When I said to him, was that performance? He said, no, it's all about storage. He cruises this boat quite a bit, and he and his colleague have done a lot of offshore double handing. They put a big bowsprit on the front, and that's made a bit of a difference, and they've done all sorts of things with the rig and so forth in the last couple of years. So they've tuned that up a bit since the last Hobart, and I think they're hoping to go one better this time around. All right, so Jakey, we might go down and see if we can find Cinnamon Girl, which I think is down on this, the Irish, and have a chat with them. So in amongst the many other people that come to this race from overseas, you're not infrequent to get an Irish contingent. And Cian McCarthy and Sam Hunt have loaned a boat exactly the same as their own one, which they race around in Ireland, and they are bought their own bowsprit, which is slightly longer, as well as their own sails, and they've had a lot of experience with all of that. So where have we got to? Here we go. Here's Cinnamon Girl. Let's see if we can get one or other of the boys up just to have a very quick chat. G'day, Cinnamon Girl. Is Cian or Sam here for just 1 minute? Can I just literally get 1 minute, very brief chat with you guys? So this is Sunfast 3300. They're really well set up for two-handed. As you can see, classic sort of current shape. G'day, Cian. How are you? Just very briefly, just 1 minute, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So, Cian McCarthy and Sam, both Kinsale men, know that part of the world very well. Learnt to sail in Currabini. Yeah, that's right. Spent all my early years there. So, guys, I won't keep you. I know you're busy. I think you said the other day, Cian, the hardest bit wasn't the sailing, it was all the paperwork you got to get your head around.
Yeah, it's been a long road to get here. And I think I also said if it wasn't for someone like Lee locally, so it's Lee's boat.
Oh, hey Lee, how are you? Sorry, of course it's your boat.
Lee did
the
the race.
Done you as the host.
Lee did the race last year, so he knows the boat, but he also knows how to navigate the entry and what's involved. And he had the boat in great shape when we got here.
Yeah.
So that made the whole thing doable. Otherwise, I think we'd have struggled.
Yeah.
Because the regulations are a little bit different from Europe.
Yeah.
And with the best will in the world, we'd have just struggled without that local knowledge.
Yep.
So that's been a huge help.
Yeah.
And then we're lucky. Look, the boat is familiar to us. We have the same boat at home.
Minus the bowsprit, which is longer.
Yeah, we brought some of our own bits, but
we actually brought our own bowsprit, so we've got
Yeah.
so everything's there.
we brought our own sails, and just for familiarity. We brought our own halyards and tack lines and sheets so that the colours are... Yeah, just that it's a little bit easier for us and we know them. So, look, the whole process I think was as easy as it could be while still being hard, if that makes sense. But look, we're delighted to be here.
And Sam, I had a long chat with Cian earlier. He was at coffee and he got paper spread everywhere. And he says, how come this doesn't match to what we do over the other side of the world? It's a very good point. Tell us a bit about your background in sailing and how you getting to be here.
I've done, I suppose, sail since Oppies, and I was involved in the Olympic campaign in the 470s, and actually lived here and did the Hobart in 2011. I did the match racing here, won the New South Wales Team Racing Championships. There's a bit of trivia, and did some 18-foot skiffs and stuff here. So
did 18s as well.
Yeah,
very versatile.
Really looking forward to the race. Did a bit of offshore here before, and sort of raced a double-handed boat actually in Perth for a season. We were the only double-handed boat in Perth, so it's great to come back. And Cian's a brilliant experience in the boat, and we're confident we know how to sail these boats. So hopefully we get a bit of a nice weather run for us.
I was going to ask you, Cian, what about the weather? I mean, it's all over the shop here, isn't it?
It's a bit better this morning. I think it was looking very light up to the model runs during the night, and I think this morning it looks a bit better. Maybe just a bit. The breeze more consistent. We sort of just didn't want to get into a guessing match, because we don't know our way around. So we were just hoping that it would be kind of straightforward and we could just sail. And it might be okay. I think there could be some nasty thunderstorms. But look, it is what it is at this stage. We feel like we're ready. Just get going really and get on with it.
All right, well, we'll leave you to it. Last preps. Well done for getting here in the first place with the boat and ready to go, and we hope to see you in Hobart.
No worries, guys. Thank you.
I don't know where Helsel is.
Where?
Helsel?
No, I don't. Actually, sorry. Righto. So, as you can see, this sort of classic bulb scow bows. So basically the thinking behind these days is that fundamentally if you put that much flotation in the front of the boat, you actually get the boat staying out of the waves, so she's not digging in. It keeps the bow buoyant. This is their own Bowsprit, which they bought with them, with its own warning sign on the end. But yes, this is very much sort of the way, if you go and watch any of the sort of mini transats and so forth in Europe and so on, some of them got much more extreme shapes even at the front, quite wide as well as being very buoyant, and they're fast. So essentially this really doesn't spend much time in the water at all. And especially when you're racing these things downwind at speed, you've got to know your bows out when there's only two of you on board. Righto, so Atomic Blonde from Western Australia, so that's brand new JPK 1180 from Simon Torvaldsen. Bought a good team here, so these JPK 1180s are extremely popular. They're going to be fast and they'll do well. So I think we might make a cut for that. Maybe let's just walk back down this other way and I'll just chat about a few other things. So I think there's 19 two-handers on the way down, 20 last year. The experience level is building quite quickly there as well. So there's a sort of real community and fraternity. As you can see, Lee Condell lending his boat to the Irish guys, to Cian and Sam. When we went down there, the first two-handers, it was extraordinary just sort of seeing the kind of atmosphere down there and the sharing of gear and so on, all helping each other out, because it's a relatively small community, huge in Europe. And one of the things which Jules Hall was talking about was this idea of getting some sort of reciprocal boat loaning, if you like. So you bring your own sails or any other small gear you want, but you're not having to pay the massive fees for shipping a boat all the way across the world, which for most of these two-handers, you wouldn't be sailing them. They'd be going on a ship. So that's a work in hand. The Short-Handed Sailing Association in Europe and so on, talking to the Australians about that. So hopefully we'll see more of that. I think it was an interesting point in that campaign essentials we were talking with Mark Bradford about, was that it's not just the two-handers. Pretty much every boat now is sort of beginning to drop numbers of people sailing them. In part they can do that because the gear's just so much better, the boats are lighter, they need less righting moment, the equipment's better, and of course it's much easier to sail with a smaller crew. So for instance, the 100-footers, nearly all of those guys were going to Hobart in 24 people maybe, and they're now down at sort of 18. That's how much they've advanced in the sort of period of the last 20 years when Wild Oats was the first of that lot. Obviously, if it's heavier airs, then they might take a couple more, but generally speaking, yes, fewer numbers, and that really goes all the way down the fleets, really, these days. You start getting to some of the old veteran boats, and then you really don't have too many options for that stuff. All right, so let's walk around and see if we've got anybody else down here. So some regulars, she's the culprit. Good old Supernova, a regular here on the scene in Sydney. Goes very well in all the offshore stuff, blue water point scores and so forth. Alex Seja. And what have we got? Eye Candy, there's Pacman again. Just trying to see if we can see anybody else that we can have a quick chat with, but I think they're all off doing bits and pieces, so we might have one last go down a little later and see who we can catch up with. So